Welcome along, folks. This is Michael Musso here on Western Limerick 102 FM. And on the line right now, we have Chairperson of the Limerick Pride Parade, Lisa Daly.
Hi,
Recurring,
happy
recurring
Pride.
guests, recurring guests, recurring champ, whatever you want to call it. The most, I believe, I looked at it once and it was the most recurring, you are the most recurring guest I've ever had on the program. So
Oh my, thank you very
yes, yes.
much.
Every year for the last, is it 3 years, 4 years?
Do you know what that
3 years.
is? Because I'm constantly here with Limerick Pride. I'm still here.
Lisa, now we've spoken during 2020 and all the challenges you faced then. Then it was 2021, and there were still challenges. 2022, it's an odd year. But how are
Oh,
you doing with Limerick Pride and yourself and the whole shebang?
honestly, it's very strange this year because I thought when we come out of lockdown, it'd be going back, like a physical, and that's what I'm used to,
Mhm.
for the last 9 years, well, besides the lockdown years,
Yep.
and being virtual. So I was excited about that. But I think it was the announcement just getting let go of, the festivals are going to happen. We're coming out of lockdown. So
Yep.
that became very overwhelming. And then everyone came in very late when we were trying to get everything done earlier.
Yep.
So that proved challenging this year.
Mhm.
So it meant you couldn't kind of, as you were basically playing with Monopoly money, that kind
Yep.
of attitude.
Yep.
You couldn't risk your festival for things. And
Yep.
whereas now it's coming in and you're like, well, we're out of time, So yeah, so in that way, I would really like to express to people if they were getting involved with Limerick Pride or showing any interest. It's there all year round for your support. We don't need June to remind you. If you're a strong ally of the LGBT community, you'd show your support throughout the year anyway. And it wouldn't take June month to remind you that Pride is happening and what one is coming? Limerick
Yep.
Pride. No, because we're working on Limerick Pride literally from when it's winding down.
Yep.
So we're literally, as a committee, and people don't realize that, because once Pride happens, everyone moves on to the next one that's happening,
Mhm.
and that's the focus. And I understand that because I do it myself before I was ever involved. But it's literally you're winding down from one year and you're talking about the following year as well. So you're
Yeah.
planning the following year while also having to do your evaluation reports of winding down of this year. So that kind of they're kind of both. It's very confusing because you're
Yeah.
talking of past year and the forward, your future year. So
Yeah.
it's very confusing in your first few committee meetings, trying to have half the team winding down the other planning. So
Yeah.
this year it was quite hard to even put in our like even our programs. So we had two programs, which is a week guide.
Okay.
So we had one submitted for our grant, and it's absolutely nothing like what we're doing. So that'll tell you the way things are after changing. There isn't, I think there's only one of two events that were originally in that are actually in this now. We have never had so many events or like diversity this year, like artist
Oh.
wise, because we went with Pride as Culture,
Hmm.
Limerick, we wanted to really showcase because we hear it so much as well. And it is something that we take on board. And I really do as well, listen to that is when we perform with Limerick Pride, a lot of our events kind of be workshops, education and information to like, and Gosh would deal with that side. We would deal during lockdown, we dealt with it by putting certain things virtual.
Yeah.
And then a lot of it was drag queens would always kind of get that like limelight.
Yeah.
But there's many LGBT artists that aren't drag queens. And that's
Yeah.
been honest.
Hmm.
And so we were hearing it so much. So we wanted to kind of find a way of bringing all those together and
Yeah.
celebrate Pride properly in that way and showcase so many different arts.
Yeah.
And the one we're disappointed about, being honest, is because we didn't have enough time to make it happen. And we did try and make it happen
Hmm.
was to involve the street performers, street artists. And we had a beautiful idea, memorial, I think, to go along a wall of a building. And it was just so expensive. And
Yeah.
like you're talking thousand ranges, like many thousands. And
Thing.
yeah, and I've never even had that amount of money dealing with Limerick Pride, so never mind putting it on a wall. So yeah, those things have been very different, and it's nice this year, like coming out of a lockdown and meeting so many different artists and
Yeah.
and seeing people face to face, which is also not good for my anxiety when I'm getting overwhelmed with it. So, but I tried to get through it in that way. But yeah, meeting different artists was very interesting. Then we have Sharon Slater, who is the historian, resident historian of sorry, that's my computer.
No worries, no worries.
Off now.
These noises will happen. Don't worry.
Yeah, so if I click on this now, it'll just keep going.
Yep.
So then Sharon Slater is our Grand Marshal. We thought she fitted perfectly. And we were recognized trying to find someone that would fit with the artists, to fit with our whole team. And it was just random. We just hadn't, and we weren't even talking about her being the Grand Marshal. Her name came up, and then we were like, what? Why do we not take a Sharon? And we know Sharon, so she's brilliant for that. So there's loads of events, like Armstrong House are doing a whole week of events. So, but it's also linked with Limerick Pride. And so they've their whole week like full of different things. And then you have like Gosh coming in with the whole week as well. And you have the youth, then you have Limerick Pride. So with our Instagram, we're trying to, because we don't want to be confusing people with our website so much with the amount of events this year, because even our own in it for Limerick Pride, but anything with our logos and all, they're officially with Limerick Pride and linked with us in the way that we're all formed together. So yeah, there's so many things, like even marking, which couldn't believe, that's actually something that stood out to me, was that not one person clicked about Marsha P. Johnson and being her anniversary. And I was like, it's Marsha P. Johnson. It's like Stonewall, like the Queen of Pride. Yes. And it's her 30th anniversary of her death. And I Limerick Pride is during it, and I thought, why we have to be like showcase something. So there's a documentary night for Marsha P. Johnson. We have like Print with Pride is involved, so they'll be in the reception during it. So you get two logos, like you can either have the Limerick Pride logo, you can do any of them, and both if you want, it's free. And you can print it on anything you want, either Marsha P. Johnson's image to Limerick Pride's logo, and anything you want, between t-shirts, bags, even sheet of paper, anything. You get it printed for free, and it'll be in the reception of the Bell Table, and then you go into the documentary, and there'll be the death and life of Marsha P. Johnson, and there'll be loads of showcasing of short films of LGBT artists in Limerick and things like that, and the artists will be there as well. So, and then like with things like that, the youths meeting up, you Pride to like, and like Mickey's are doing like 15 events in one day on the Friday. So yeah.
Mercy.
Yeah,
so much every year, and this seems like the biggest year. Is it? This like so, as you were saying, there's so much, because I think when people think of Pride, you think of just the parade, and it's like, oh no, we've got a whole event planned. It's like a festival.
Well, I'll give you an example in a way. Now, my easiest day will probably be Monday, because I only have 2 events to attend, but I've up to 5 to 6 a day until the Saturday. So that's crazy. Obviously I won't be attending the full 15 for Mickey's, but she'll know I'll be there. I'm going with my daughter during the daytime, and then I'll go back in the evening time and show my face for a while before secretly hiding and not saying goodbye to anyone and running away, because in Mickey's you can't say goodbye to anyone. So, and it's the only way I can make the parade. Be prepared, because I'll have to be up from like 6:30 or so that on Saturday, and setting up the marquees and like things like that.
Yeah. Well, what dates are all this starting off now? What date is
Monday? This Monday. Yes,
Monday,
the 4th to the 10th.
So by the time this airs, it's already started. It's going on as this is going to air on Tuesday next, because we're recording this on Wednesday. So we're going forward to the future. Just missed the launch. Dang.
That was last night.
Well, Lisa, how'd you get on last night?
Yeah, it was great.
I should have said that. So it starts then. So this is, so now you're up to date, listener. There you go. You're like, why didn't he ask her about what happened last night? What a silly man. There we go. Now we know.
Yeah, well, that'll have the Monday, as I said, Sharon Slater will be doing a talk on Daly. Daly does from, you know, her book, story in her book, and story in book. She was an actress on screen and theatre. And so she is doing that, a reading from that. You have Adam Long from LGBT Federation of Ireland. He'll be addressing, we have like a movement artist coming from London. So he's a body movement artist, and so he'll be doing things. And so wine reception. And so then the Tuesday, oh my God, what is on the Tuesday now? I'm getting all confused and all with the Tuesdays. There is like, even with our press launch, I remember I had to get a bottle of water because I kept going, and also, and also. And it's the first year ever I had pure, and I just had to stop. And my throat went pure dry. It was so hot that day, and I just said, "Oh, can someone give me some water a minute?" Because I'd never had. But Kaleidoscope, it's called, is on in the Hunt. Ooh. It's in the gardens of the Hunt, and that will be by Miles Breen, and that will run for 2 weeks until 17th of July. And then you have a Pride self-defense class. So this year we were like, cool, add martial arts and what everything's happened. Because also with lockdown, it's not just you know, when people think self-defense or, oh, they're being aggressive, it's not just that. It's like, you've been in lockdown, mentally it's a great thing to have as martial arts. You know, people automatically think of combat. It's not, it's a great mental mindfulness. And so it's
exercise,
about
the whole thing, you know, as well too.
Yeah, exactly. And it was about everything that's happening, like what happened, even the killings and everything during lockdown. It was like, give people, and we hear this, you know, there is people that's frightened and scared. So we were like, at least, you know, team up and give that. So it is a free event. Pride is covering all this. So you just register on WhatsApp, so you'll find all the details if you check out our socials and stuff on the WhatsApp. But you do have to register for your place. But as I said, it's free of charge, and it'll be on out in Delta Drome. And then there's Wednesday, you have the Print with Pride, as I said. You'll have the Pride documentary, which is showcased loads of different short pieces, and Marshall D. Johnson, obviously. And then on the Thursday, like, you have the youth sexual health workshop, and you have to register through that for Eventbrite, and then you give demonstrations, things like that. Then on the Thursday, we have the award-winning theatre play, The Morning After the Life Before by Anne Blake, and that's tickets are on sale for that in Dolans.ie, and that's on in the Warehouse. So that's making a return from years ago when it won the awards, but it's only a one night only kind of one-off thing, and that it's doing. It won't be doing it again. So it's just a one-off to happen. And then we have Amber House in Limerick. So Amber Nightclub will be taking that with Makia from Cork and also local drag queens. So that's going to be like, it's going to be hosted by Candy Warhill. So you've in total something like 9 drag queens on the night. You have DJ, so there's early. And it's confetti, glitter, you name it.
Wow.
So Amber has never had drag queens. So we plan on letting them get splashed with Pride.
Yeah, there you go.
So to show them how, like, we want this club in a way. So we're bringing it to Amber, and the early bird tickets are on sale at the moment on Eventbrite, and they're for 10, and then on the doors 15 that night. And then on Friday, said Mickey's are literally taking over the day. Like, they're coming back with a bang. They did love Pride. They absolutely loved doing Pride. So she just wanted the whole day. So they're running from 1 o'clock until close.
Brilliant.
She has many different events taking place, between like historian talks to makeup. I think just one called Dragged Out Your Pride, because of the fact people were in lockdown, and a lot of them wouldn't have experienced Pride. So it's like they're dragged out their Pride. So,
and I mean, maybe with the virtual Pride, they were introduced to, like, hey, you know, I don't have to drive there. Maybe I'm check it out online. They checked out, like, oh gosh, now I really want to go to the physical thing now, you know? Maybe that's the, you know.
Yeah, there's been, like, we did receive emails, being honest, during virtual, and that did stand out, you know, like, there was one from a mother who had 3 sons, and she gave the ages, and they were like from 11 to 19 or something, but it was that kind of age. And she said they'd never experienced Pride. And that was during 2020. And we had, do you remember Pride Fest, the whole day of music and drag queens and all different artists. And she said at that time, the day after that, and she said that the whole day they had it on their TV in their sitting room and they had it just blasting in their house and they loved it. And she said that every one of her sons enjoyed it. And they'd never been to Pride before. And she said that it was definitely something that they were all going to attend when it came back. So yeah, that was interesting. And then you got, without a doubt, the most standout email was definitely from a teenager in Poland, and that happened last year. And they had their headphones on, and I know, like they said, the Limerick looked beautiful. We done aerial shots and everything like that, and we've done so many different things in Limerick to try to showcase Limerick as well. And then it was they were listening to it in their headphones up in their room, and I could just visualize this person, and they'd never experienced Pride, and obviously being in Poland they couldn't feel comfortable enough to say who they are, and they said they felt like they were part of a family, and it really stood out to me. And it was, and in all those nights, even the 2 nights I did not sleep at all to make sure these events happened, because I was having so many connection problems. It was like a nightmare to get them up in time, that it actually, you felt so deflated, but receiving an email like that at the end made you go, now I know it was worth it, that kind of a way. So when people in 2020, when it was all new, and even the committee were like, no, we're not just doing virtual, what are you crazy? And even I thought I was, being honest. But I kept feeling like this is an opportunity to have our message, not like get it out and get our message out, rather than like people just attending or seeing us coming down the road with flags and not in like properly understanding our rights or properly understanding what we don't have. So I looked at it as kind of an opportunity of how we can get our messages, like what we're not equal in, how can we get different kind of things that fit. So when I spoke with different organizations, they weren't comfortable either about bringing this out online. So literally it was kind of like, we'll pay you for what you put on in a workshop privately. We want that filmed and without the people, but we want it, and we want to put it out, and we're going to put it out as Pride. So we chose a workshop then that was like, we thought to fit with people rather than because I'd attended a few myself, obviously, and there's great ones. But we said, let's do the LGBT explained. So basically it was literally explaining every letter when they call us the alphabet family. It was literally explain it. And then we're like, so that's up on our YouTube. And them kind of things were like, keep, they were the important things, the LGBT families, we wanted to highlight it, that there was like, you see it so much, I'm sure, in papers or whatever, or news, that, two lesbian parents now are equal rights. But what I'm always saying is they should stress also when you have articles like that, especially like when we had the yes and no referendum for marriage equality, we always have to have, like if you were saying yes, you always have to have a no on the radio with you. Same with an article, it always have to be, the equality of it. And that's fair enough. But why is it not there then when they're highlighting, two lesbian mothers can be legal, with this child? But that's only 40% of our community. There's 60% of children and families, LGBT families, have absolutely no legal right to their children. So if something happens to the biological parent, then that's it. Like, is that what's going to happen? And you can have families who didn't support the couple to begin with, who were homophobic, actually be legally allowed to take these children into their homes when the biological parent wouldn't have wanted that, and that's not the lives, so there's a lot of gray areas there. And so I think they should highlight that when they're highlighting, and as a lesbian mother myself, I think that's very important and it should be highlighted. And I don't find that like a celebration, that part of us, it's a step in progress, like everything else that we're making. It's not, to me, like the big celebration yet. It's not a celebration till we're all equal, and that's you know. And everyone is excited about Pride, and I get that it is a celebration.
Yes.
First and foremost, we are a protest, and we have to remember why we're there.
Yes, of course.
I don't mean to drag on there.
No, you're grand. It's your sprint to bring it up. But what's I gonna say there as well? Well, the difference now, I suppose, the jump to was coming out of lockdown about that, what's the vibe of the performers? What are they thinking? Are they excited? Are they a bit anxious? What's the feeling of people doing it face to face?
Um, the ones that have been like the experienced drag queens, they're just excited, they're
Of course.
buzzing, they've been rehearsing, they've been the virtual ones, and then the clubs, so they've had a bit. The ones then that don't do the clubs and they're kind of, we're only coming out in 2019. That's something I noticed. We're only starting like getting performances like at a Pride, during Pride
Yeah.
time. They weren't getting performances in clubs yet, but they were getting performances during Pride time. So they're nervous because they haven't performed and they didn't do anything virtually. So that they've cut down their numbers to one
Yeah.
because they want to gradually come back.
Of course.
But you don't in Limerick, I'll be honest, you do have issues with drag queens. And I'm always saying this because people give out, where's the local drag queens? And sometimes I feel like saying out loud, you tell me, because we're not a recruitment agency, we can't go around looking for these drag queens. And if they're not making themselves available, local ones and other ones are, quite frankly, people are going to come in and take your jobs. So that's basically what's happening. And if you're not making yourself available and you're not being out there or even letting us know, even sending us a link, even anywhere into Limerick Pride, any of it's like social medias, anything, just making yourself known. And because I did have someone recently at a press launch I attended and said to me, he's been trying to get my attention for 3 years. And I said, well, now you got my attention, because of the way he attended and done it. Because he did get my attention. What he done, he had a whip and he flicked it down while I was on a microphone. Of course, you're going to get my attention,
He's brilliant.
Yeah. So
at first I thought you meant a whip, like a work in progress. And I was like, oh, it's like a whip.
He actually,
like, wow,
he turned up in a Catwoman suit and a whip. And I was being on a microphone being interviewed and all I heard behind me, and I turned around and then he was getting photos, came over, he said, I've been trying to get your attention for 3 years. And I said, well, you've got it now.
Here we go.
But I had not seen him, and I said, you have to contact us. We were in lockdown as well. We weren't going anywhere, So in that way, I would love, and I always say it, local queens, even if you're young and you're trying out, you learn if you have that in you and you want to be that. And what I do see in Limerick is cis queens, which is female queens. And that's coming a thing. Being honest, that's kind of really stepping up a lot rather than the drag king. It's always like they expect a woman to be a drag king, but I'm actually really liking these cis and bio queens and these female ones, because sometimes you be like, it's kind of like an alter ego in a way, you know. So I think it's kind of cool, being honest. So they're things I'm interested in at the moment. And then, as you know, I'm sure you know, Courtney Act is coming. So that's my dream queen.
Yes.
Yeah, so to Courtney Act, to being honest, it is like a pinch me moment for myself personally, because it wasn't like that. I never visualized that Courtney would ever be at Limerick Pride. I reached out in 2017, 2018, and she was booked both years, and I was kind of learning little things of, right, I need to go a bit earlier, and all this. So then I reached out a year and a half earlier. So in 2019 Pride, I already knew Courtney Act was coming for 2020, but I couldn't say that, obviously. And then lockdown happened and we had to renegotiate the contract, and she stuck with her commitment. So that's why we had to constantly keep announcing our date so early for the following year. So she stayed. I didn't think it was going to happen. I actually said the one time Courtney's at the sign of a contract for Limerick Pride, I was like, it's not going to happen. And then with 2 years having to renegotiate a contract, it's finally happening. And so Courtney it's gone to the point now, Courtney and myself just speak to each other in ways directly. So it's like, which is cool as well. But at the same time, I think it's been so stressful that I'm like, oh, after all this time, she's finally coming. So I've got over my starstruck moment. Same kind of thing. I got over that very fast. So I'm excited about that, especially bringing someone like that to Limerick. even when we were brought Jujubee, and then when we were virtual, to have someone like Heidi in Closet as our host for virtual was unbelievable. No one could believe that we actually had someone like Heidi in Closet as a virtual Pride. But Heidi was just absolutely sweetheart. And I still say I love Heidi. Just a sweetheart. I really want Heidi in Limerick. For anything, I want Heidi. Well, actually speaking, he came as himself in Limerick actually only a few months ago, and we went out in Nancy Blake's, and people actually recognized him. And now Nancy's had us sitting out. So there's a few of us there, and we didn't make a big deal out of it. We only shared the picture out in Limerick Pride, myself and the vice chair the day after, because we didn't want people all to rush to Nancy Blake's.
Yeah.
But he came over, he was performing in Dublin, so he came down to Limerick and stayed the night in Limerick, and just we had a meet up. And because we, like yourself, been speaking over a screen all the time, but not yeah. So he was lovely and really, really like Heidi. And Courtney now is coming, and they'll be dragged up. There'll be, oh my God, Sarah Tiernan. We have a burlesque dancer, artist opening. We have Spin Southwest DJ for the main stage. We have Saved by the 90s upstairs. We have 3 rooms for the climax party. We have VIP to meet Courtney. And we done the layout the other day, and I'm so glad we done it, because we had a different area of the venue.
Yeah.
And it just, no. And finally we went and we all had a look at the other one. And now we've agreed on so now it's perfect. It has a flow, it's lovely. So the VIP, it's not like what you get with others of when you hear meet and greet. So I always say this when people keep saying, oh, it's a meet and greet. It's not a meet and greet, it's a VIP for a reason. Ooh. It's so meet and greet is you just meet them and you go along in your queue, and that's it, right? And you're out the door back into the
shake
shop.
Hands, maybe sign something out there. Let's move along.
So this is, you're coming in and you get an hour earlier entrance than other people, and there's a reason for that, because you're coming in, you're going to meet Courtney, you get your photo, then you get we'll have someone kitted out to be handing out as a host your Prosecco. So you get your glass of Prosecco, and then you go out the back upstairs in Dolan's in their decking area, and you'll go out there where dragged up, and all the queens and all the artists of the main stage will be there. So that's why you're getting a VIP experience, because then you can take selfies, chat with all the artists, and you get to hang out with the artists then up to an hour of whatever time you arrive. It's from that hour. And then you get, you drift off then into the warehouse when the public doors are opening then and stuff. So it's a VIP experience rather than a meet and greet of
very cool
photo out, so you get to and you get to chill, and the bar will be open upstairs as well. And and just mingle with the artists, and you can talk to them. So if there's, and I'm sure probably loads will have questions for the likes of Victoria, especially since she hangs out with so many queens. So I said that to Victoria, he'll probably get hounded with, oh, what's this one like, what's that one? So I was trying to get the queens on board to agree with that as well, but they were actually quite cool. Yeah, we're all up for it, and I was expecting a bit of, oh no, but no, they're all up for it. I think it's coming out a lot.
Well, Lisa, I'm afraid we're nearly run out of time here. So it's already started. The events have already started on the Monday this week. And when does it end? How long is this whole festival going on until? Till
Sunday. So it's a week long, and our parade is Saturday, and we would like to really express to people that our parade gathering has changed this year, the point. So we will not be gathering in our usual spot of Murch's Quay down by City Hall, because our roadworks on O'Connell Street. We can't go up O'Connell Street. Not in Murch's Quay. This year we are going to Perry Square alongside the People's Park.
Right, so your notebooks, folks.
Yeah, so that's where we're gathering, is the Perry Square. And then we'll be making our way down Mallow Street and down onto Henry Street and back to the Hunt, the back gardens of the Hunt Museum.
It's a gorgeous spot. Yeah.
Yeah, they stressed me out now. I won't say they haven't, with their gardens changing the layout. Have you seen it? They changed the layout. Oh, when I got the plans, I was so stressed over them. Because I was like, where's the marquee? So they've changed their gardens. It's lovely, being honest. It was just I was very worried because they've opened it up now. So we've always been used to it being private, and we set up the night before, and so there's been loads of different things like that that's changed. So then with them changing the gardens, we had to go through literally everything with the measurements to make sure that we could still fit similar things. But they've made it into so many different flowers that I just said, I'm not responsible for these flowers. I cannot be responsible. And I just, at the very beginning, we're making this book, and that's all I could see was the flowers. And I just kept, and I could see that day the parade going, oh my God, I am not being, because like literally we had issues years ago because of a burst balloon. So I was like, I am not dealing with broken flowers, you know? And it wasn't the hunt themselves. It was actually public that said something about a burst balloon or something, you know, the way people are because we're Pride, not being smart. All you have to do is say you're Pride or LGBT or have a rainbow flag with you, and you'll find someone that'll have to say something. And that's being honest. I'll be honest about it. It is. So that's why I always say, thick skin when you're doing this. Be proud, go out, show your visibility, have your flags. You're surrounded by people walking down that street with you. Don't be surprised if we have anyone standing there protesting against us this year. Is something I really would not be surprised at. Unfortunately, it could happen this year, but I would really, really like to say to all our community, even our allies, don't even give them the time of day, don't engage. Blow your whistles, smile, and be proud, and keep walking past these people, and whatever signs they have with their Adam and Eve and all this kind of jazz, I don't care what they have. It took them all night, as what's her name, Taylor Swift said, wasn't it? Took them all night to make it. Leave them off, you know what I mean? We're there, we're going to have glitter, just blow it out on top of them, walk on. And that and I them more to see you celebrate and be proud of who you are. And remember, every person around you is the same. We're all marching there, we're all showing our visibility. But also, while we're celebrating this, I always think it's very important to remember that the people who are in this, like watching, the spectators that are watching you, to remember there's many of them that actually wish they could be part and walk with you, and they're actually looking at you, and what you're doing is giving them comfort in themselves. And I was one of those years ago when I first seen Pride walking down the street. I did not take part in it, and I was actually in my heart going kind of embarrassed, going, oh God, you know. But little did I know I'd be out too, you know. But what it felt for me in my city to see that, as much as I was actually scared from, because it was the height of the feud at the time, and I was going, oh my God, this happening in Limerick. But at the same time, as the visibility of it, I couldn't help but admire them to go, oh, do you know, it just gave me something. And now with us grown to what we are now in Limerick Pride, it's just crazy. I can tell you, I have no doubt in my mind that this is going to be the biggest Pride, Limerick Pride ever. The registration is already crazy higher than the 2019. And no one believed me in 2019 when I said to everyone it was going to be huge and everything. Everyone was like, oh, listen to this, it's not going to happen. I'm not responding to any comments, nothing on media of people saying this. Just see it yourselves. That's it. And it is going to happen, and it's going to be huge.
That's it. Lisa, you're a delight as always. Thank you so much for being on the show. Can we talk to you next year? I'll talk to you before that, though. Hopefully I'll talk to you before that.
Yeah, you too, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Right. Thank you so much.
Bye.